Hi, this is Maxine, founder of The Future is Greater. And as I always say, your future is so much greater once you decide it is. And really, that's the heart. It's behind this series of interviews with incredible women in my network, incredible women I come across, to show you that your future can and is greater once you decide it is. And today's interview is with a very dear friend of mine, Stacie Pudliner. And she is a phenomenal woman. I'm going to let you, Stacie, in a minute, tell everybody who you are. But she is going to describe, she's going to show you today another way, you can create a future that's so much greater than you can ask, think, or imagine right now once you decide to. So Stacie, please tell everybody, who are you? What do you do? Tell us about yourself.
Hi, thank you, Maxine. I appreciate your time. So I am a leadership trainer and coach for the Institute of Leadership Development down in South Carolina, although I live in Pennsylvania. So I kind of, work virtually, and I have two amazing boys who are 7 and 14. And, for me, my background has kind of run the gamut. I've come from being a stay-at-home mom to, working in corporate America, to walking through a divorce 5 years ago and really restarting my whole life. So answering that, that age-old question of who am I and what am I supposed to do, and how do you get from point A to point B? How do you pick up the pieces?
And that's actually what I wanted to talk to you today a little bit about, Stacie, if you don't mind picking up the pieces. Because, you even said in your introduction about going through this divorce about 5 years ago. Like, what was that like for you? And, what do the pieces look like at that stage, I guess, in that?
Well, I think for me personally, the pieces were, I had put my career on hold to raise my kids, stay home with them. And that's such a blessing to be able to do that. And then, when what you're used to or what is gone, where do you start? For me, I think it was starting with some internal healing. That's really important. And also identifying where did I go wrong? Because you do have to take accountability. So for me, it looked very different. I moved 90 minutes from my kids. My ex-husband has primary custody of them. Our schedule is very different. And so I can't really say there's a standard of what it should look like, because everybody has to define what that looks like for themselves. For me, I knew that if I stayed where I was, I couldn't launch my career, or I couldn't, really, I like different environments. And so I needed healing. So for me to get healing, I had to step away. I've got a great relationship with my boys. I've got them most of the summer. So we're down to the last week of summer. And, it's just really one day at a time. You have to, of course, and God, of course, is huge for me. Because you've got to harness that inner, okay, how is this serving me? If I'm going to stay in bed all day, how is that serving me? How does that get me to my end goal? And it doesn't happen overnight. It really doesn't. I bought a house a year and a half ago, about a year ago, I guess. I have owned my own business. I work for a company now, and I own my own business. And it may mean that, now I'm looking to do another readjustment. So as things develop and you kind of, for me, as I unlock things internally, that's where those internal things come, because our happiness cannot be from other people. It has to come from within. Yes. And that was probably the biggest piece I had to learn. Is our happiness it has to come from within us, within our core, and it can't be external. So it doesn't happen overnight. I guess that's probably the best way to describe it.
Yeah, there's so much wisdom in everything you've just said there. And I'm just thinking, where's the best way to go with it now? Definitely your happiness. You can't give anybody else that responsibility, right? It comes from you. And I want to actually go back. In fact, I know where I'll go with this. And my intuition says, you said, you can't be in bed all day, sort of laying around and expect to hit your goals, right? So let's go back to that point where, you were in bed all day, going through such a really difficult time. What was it that kind of changed? Like, what in you helped you realize, okay, I need healing, I need emotional healing? Take us there and just break it down in case there is somebody who is in that point where they're like in bed thinking, oh my God, something needs to change.
How do I do this, right? I can honestly say I was on antidepressants for 10 years. The whole 10 years I was married. And so I didn't realize until I came out of my divorce, and yeah, my whole world crashed. It crashed. I didn't see it coming. So I think initially it's that shock, but then you have to give yourself the ability to feel everything. And then once you feel it, okay, so you're asking, how do you move from it?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think it's just really one day at a time. It's one decision, 1 minute, one day. It's saying, you know what, this does not serve me well. It's not even about looking at an end goal. It's about saying, okay, today, this, and I had days where I stayed in bed. I mean, because everything I knew was gone. Everything had to be redefined. Everything that was normal was no longer normal. And it really is a matter of 1 minute, one choice, one day. And if that meant get up and go for a walk, or if that meant, at that time I started a cleaning business because it was easy. I didn't have to think. I had high-end clients that, God blessed me with amazing, amazing clients. And I could go, get done, didn't have to think about it. So give yourself lots of grace. And then it's just a matter, for me, it was literally just a matter of saying, no, I have 2 kids. What's my why? My why was them. Come back to, what is your why? My why is my kids. My why is, well, if mom isn't happy, how are they going to be happy? What am I setting for them?
That's amazing. What is your why is huge. What is your why? So let's go back again to something you said, right? So you can't find your happiness outside of yourself, right?
No.
It's got to be something that you cultivate within you. So what are some of the ways that you've been able to do that? Just share with everybody, just in case something, because I know it's different for everybody, but something you say might inspire someone else.
Well, for me, this is just something I recently, probably in the last 9 months, that's really, really hit. Because of the new role I'm in, I do a lot of identity work, and we do a lot of emotional healing. And so there's a amazing book called Positive Intelligence. And the writer who writes it has done TED Talks and different things. And so you have to dig and say, okay, what are the things that I enjoy? What are the things I like? What are the things that bring me joy? What are the things that, going back, that I maybe forgot? And you've asked these questions, a lot of them. You've said, okay, well, what are the things as a child that you enjoyed doing, or that maybe down inside? And so you have to really sit down and think. And even if you just do brainstorming, like for me, it was just a matter of brainstorming.
Yeah.
And recreating and really doing some digging, because that digging is uncomfortable. But when you get down to the root of, I do a lot of identity with clients. So of course anything I do with a client, I do myself. And, identifying saboteurs. How am I sabotaging myself? So that's all work that I'm not going to have a client do something I haven't done. And that changes. I think that also changes, that really, I believe that, finding our internal, it's really that link between our mind, our heart, and our soul. And how do you link them? And what's that internal drive? And finding, okay, it's okay to stay home, or it's okay, I don't need to be somebody that I'm not. And be okay with that.
hmm I love what you're saying, because basically who you are is enough. Just take the time to get to know you. And, I guess the saboteurs, the dark side, we all have a dark side. And, what to do about that, the awarenesses that come up there. And, the things about you that you need to honor, about what you love, your passions and all of that, knowing yourself. So there's so much you're saying. I don't want to take up too much more of your time, but I want to ask you this. What have you seen as a difference of kind of truly knowing who you are, as you've been talking about, versus, I guess, those 10 years where you want antidepressants, not really having a sense of your true identity? What have you seen as a difference of this awareness of who you are and how to honor you?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I was married for 10 years, and but I met my ex-husband in college. So a different time, you go through college, you get, get married, have kids, and things shift. And so somewhere in there, you have to learn you're growing. And so either you grow together or you grow apart. Unfortunately, he's an amazing dad, so I will never take that from him. He's an amazing dad, hands down. He's amazing with our children. And I'm grateful for that, because he's a great support system. I always say my kids, one is like them, one is like him, and one is like me. I mean, they're a great combination of both of us. So I'm fortunate in that regard. How do you really, really getting down? I think it's just a matter of sitting down with yourself, having a conversation with yourself. And sometimes that conversation with yourself is the hardest conversation.
Yeah. And I love what you just said about, your ex-husband. For you to be able to say something like that, knowing how difficult things were for you 5 years ago when this ended, is huge. And I really want to commend you on that growth in you, and also the level of forgiveness, I guess, that would have had to, come in at play to be able to say that. You're a shining example of someone who can pick up the pieces and create something amazing, and is still creating something amazing. So, you said you were going on to new horizons. What's next for you, potentially, as we tie up? And how might people be able to find out more about you if they're interested?
Sure. So what's next for me is just recently, basically because of some questions you've posted, and you were like, think about this, and you're posting in the group, and I think that's awesome. And I was like, oh, that makes a little sense. So for me, I really have a huge desire. My background's corporate HR, and so my desire is really to bridge that gap in communication, because a lot of what I do is communication based. As a coach, and I'm going to continue coaching part-time, but really where I see myself, or where I want to go, I guess, is to move into more of a corporate environment, do more corporate training, bridging that gap in communication, because we are sitting in a time where there are, for the very first time, there are 4 generations working together.
Yes.
And I love the millennials. I live 10 minutes from a Big Ten university, so I'm surrounded by millennials where I live. So I see the challenges, and I hear the challenges in the marketplace. I mean, from business owners to professors, I mean, it's so different. And so for me, and also having young kids, that's a passion. And so however I can get and impact and really bridge that gap with the millennials, with all the generations right now, that's where I'm wanting to go. And I love, speaking with individuals. I've worked with clients who I do, resumes, I do recruiting for them, or not for them, but help them really hone in on their passions, and from a corporate space, help those organizations get the right people in the right places. So that's really my passion of where I want to go, where I am going. So I kind of stepped up that a little bit, and kind of said, okay, well, it's time. Let's explore what this looks like, and it may look totally different than what I think in my mind, and that's okay.
Yeah.
I am blessed because I have such a good relationship with my ex-husband, and the schedule that we have is very different. I am blessed that I can travel, and I am blessed that I can do certain things now. So, he's got he's a great support system of the kids. And, I think what I had to understand was our lives are different. Different isn't bad. Different isn't good. Different is just different.
It's different.
And it's okay. And it's what we have. And it's awesome. So everybody gets to decide, well, is what I want wrong? No, it really isn't.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love what you're saying. Don't make your desires wrong. Don't make yourself wrong.
Mm-mm.
That's awesome. So like I said, if somebody wanted to find out more about you and, to connect with you, how could they do that?
Sure. The website for my coaching business is www.ildcoach.com.
Mm-hmm.
On the website is my email address and all the other contact information for the home office and for myself.
Fantastic. I'll make sure that gets connected to this video. Well, thank you so much, Stacie, for sharing your wisdom, sharing your heart, and really going to some, dark places to hopefully help people. Really, really appreciate all that you've shared with us today. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Maxine. I'm so honored. I'm so blessed to be part of the group. And you ask questions, and I'm like, well, it might take me a couple days to process that, but I think it's wonderful. And I'm like, oh, okay, now I get it. That's where she's going with this.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you so much for being a challenge and for being just such a blessing and putting this out and really following your heart's desire, because I think that's where I see what you're doing, and it's so powerful.
Well, thank you so much. That means so much hearing you say that. It is my heart and my mission, really, to awaken women all around the world. In fact, all people, but I focus on women. Wake them up to the fact that, listen, your life and your future is so much greater once you decide it is. It really is.
Yes.
A lot of the time, these limitations and these circumstances that seem insurmountable are once you're determined to make sure that you overcome them. So thank you for seeing my heart. And it's amazing to have you in the community. Again, thank you for sharing today. And I wish you a wonderful rest of your day. Take care.
Thank you, you too. Thank you.
Bye-bye, everybody, as well. Bye-bye.
Bye.